Have you ever noticed how some people just, well, they just light up a room when they talk, effortlessly engaging everyone?
Yeah, definitely.
Or they seem just naturally confident, really expressive, especially maybe when they're speaking a new language, they just dive right in.
hmm
It makes you wonder, doesn't it? Is that just like tons of practice, or is there maybe something deeper going on?
It's a great question. And it really gets to the heart of, what gives some people that kind of natural edge in communication. Sometimes it really does feel like an innate thing.
That is exactly what we're digging into today. Welcome to the Deep Dive. This is where we take your sources, pull them apart, and give you the absolute core nuggets of knowledge.
Right.
And today, we're diving into this really fascinating academic thesis. It looks at a specific personality type, the sanguine temperament, and its surprising link to English-speaking skills.
Specifically for students learning English as a foreign language, EFL students. Yeah, and our source for this deep dive is a recent thesis, completed in 2025 from Sultana Narasia University, so pretty current stuff.
Okay.
And our mission, really, is to give you a shortcut, a way to understand how these inherent personality traits might actually shape how well we communicate, particularly when it's not our first language.
Get ready for some potential aha moments, right?
hmm
But why some folks just seem to thrive when they have to speak.
Exactly.
Okay, let's unpack the big question then. How does this sanguine personality type specifically help or maybe contribute to the English-speaking skills of these EFL students?
hmm
This research zeroes right in on that.
It does. But first, to really get it, we probably need to set the stage a bit. Go back to where this whole idea of temperament even comes from.
Right, like the ancient Greeks.
Precisely. Hippocrates, Galen, they linked personality to bodily fluids, blood, yellow bile, black bile, phlegm.
The four humors. Yeah, I remember that.
Mm.
Obviously, medicine's moved on a bit since then.
Oh, absolutely. We don't think fluids control personality anymore, but the idea of these four basic temperaments, sanguine, choleric, melancholic, phlegmatic, it's surprisingly sticky. It still gives us a useful, kind of simple way to think about our natural leanings.
So even though the why has changed, the what these basic types still feels relevant in psychology today.
Very much so. You see modern writers like Halsby or Tim LaHaye, they still talk about temperament as something fundamental, something we're born with, inherited. It shapes how we interact with the world, maybe before we even realize it.
It's like our default setting almost, not something we choose.
Exactly. And for today's deep dive, that default setting we're focusing on is sanguine. The word itself comes from Latin for blood, linked to that idea of warmth, cheerfulness, being lively.
Okay, so sanguine equals lively, warm, cheerful. And this thesis digs deeper, right? It mentions Florence Littauer's work.
It does. Littauer gives us great concrete examples. Sanguine people are often described as highly energetic, emotionally open, really living in the moment.
They react quickly with emotions, maybe their moods shift fast.
Yeah, but they also find joy easily, connect with people naturally. Halsby called them spontaneous, direct, warm, almost like big children sometimes, and how unfiltered they can be.
Huh, I can picture that. And LaHaye called them sparky sanguine.
That's right. Enthusiastic, people-focused, often the center of attention. If you look at the strengths Littauer points out, appealing personality, life of the party, great storytellers, good sense of humor, lots of enthusiasm, very expressive, curious.
You can totally see how that would play out in a language class. They'd be the first ones talking, right?
Absolutely. Sociable, make friends easily. They thrive on compliments, which probably encourages them more. They keep conversations going because they like spontaneous stuff, don't hold grudges.
So they volunteer, suggest activities, get others involved. That sounds ideal for practicing speaking.
It does sound great, but like anything, there's another side to it.
The potential weaknesses.
Yeah.
Okay.
Littauer notes they can be compulsive talkers, maybe exaggerate a bit, focus on trivial things, sometimes struggle with names.
Oh, I know people like that.
Right. Restless energy, maybe a bit egotistical, complaining sometimes. To some, they might even seem naive or a little phony.
Okay, so in a learning context, that could mean maybe being disorganized,
Yeah.
forgetting things, getting distracted easily by talking.
Exactly. Wasting time talking, interrupting, maybe being impatient, wanting too much credit.
So it's a mix. But here's the really interesting part you touched on earlier. Maybe that talkativeness, even the potential disorganization, isn't entirely bad for language speaking. How do these traits, the good and the challenging, play out when you're trying to master English?
Well, for these EFL students, the research suggests the sanguine traits are largely beneficial. Their extroversion, their optimism, their adaptability, these things really support learning that involves talking to people, working
So
together.
they just feel more comfortable in those situations, less inhibited when they have to actually speak.
That seems to be the key. And what's really fascinating, as you mentioned, is their comfort level with making mistakes.
Ah, yes. That's huge for language learning, isn't it? The fear of sounding stupid.
It's a massive barrier. But sanguine types, they seem less bothered by it. They just keep practicing, keep talking, improving, without that crippling fear of criticism. Their natural expressiveness and social ease just directly feed into building speaking skills.
So they're active, open-minded, not afraid to ask questions. They just jump in.
Pretty much. Studies like one by Sayadi and colleagues back this up. They participate more freely. Limonova and Molina also found their extroversion and emotional stability helps them succeed in communication tasks. It's like their personality gives them a running start.
Okay. I'm starting to see the connection. Before we get to the results of this specific study, let's quickly define what we mean by speaking skills here. The research used a standard rubric, right?
Yes, Brown and Abby Wickerma's rubric, it breaks speaking down into essentially 5 key
Which
things.
are?
Fluency, basically. Speaking smoothly, naturally, not too many awkward pauses. Good flow.
Okay, fluency.
Pronunciation, saying words clearly, using the right stress, the right intonation, making yourself understood.
Got it.
Grammar, using sentence structures correctly, following the rules so your meaning is clear.
Makes sense.
And comprehension. This one's interesting because it involves listening to understanding the conversation you're in.
Right. You can't just talk at people. You have to understand what's going on. So speaking is really more than just vocabulary, isn't it? It's confidence, willingness, adapting on the fly.
It's a whole performance, exactly.
So how did this particular study look at that performance?
It used a qualitative case study approach, focused on 8-semester EFL students, so students who had finished all their required speaking courses.
Experienced students then.
Right. They used a personality questionnaire, but only to pick out the students with dominant sanguine traits. That wasn't the main data.
Just to filter. So what was the data?
The real data came from recordings of seminars where these specific students were speakers or moderators, plus their final grades from their academic speaking course.
Ah, so they looked at actual speaking performance in a real academic situation. That's smart.
Yeah, it allowed the researcher to really see how those sanguine traits showed up when they spoke.
Okay, let's get to it. What did they find?
Well, out of 37 students in the pool, they identified 4 with dominant sanguine personalities. They call them P10, P11, P15, and P21.
4 students. And how did they do?
Get this. All 4 received an official speaking score of 98.000 from their lectures.
98 out of 100. Wow.
Yep, and the researcher double-checked this using the rubric, scoring them an average of 4.9 out of 5. Basically, excellent. All of them.
That's incredibly consistent. All 4 sanguine students were rated excellent speakers.
Exactly. And the thesis gives some great examples from their seminar presentations. Let's take P21.
Okay, P21.
She talked about using virtual reality, VR, in learning, scored a perfect 5 on fluency. Described as very fluent with a natural rhythm and flow, no awkward pauses.
Nice.
Pronunciation also top marks, really clear and almost like a native speaker.
Impressive. Any grammar issues?
A couple of minor slips, yeah, like saying VR is generous environment instead of generated environment, but it didn't stop the message getting through.
Right, the core communication was strong.
Totally. She showed great understanding, talked about benefits like empathy, engagement, used examples from the US and UK, and her delivery, described as bold, full of energy, classic sanguine style, you could say.
You can really picture her. What about another one? P15.
P15 talked about IT-based learning. Also got a 5 for fluency, confident and fluent, smooth and natural. Pronunciation also clear and easy to follow.
Okay, similar strengths. Yeah, right.
Mostly correct. Again, minor slips like teacher has mastered technology instead of teachers have mastered.
Yes.
But crucially, it didn't mess up the meaning.
And she knew her stuff.
Excellent comprehension, yeah. Used examples like PowerPoint, educational games, talked about real issues, just radiated confidence and energy. Again, you see that sanguine trait shining through. Communication first.
Definitely a pattern emerging. How about P10?
P10, discuss using social media and education. Also, a 5 in fluency, clear and fluent with good rhythm, pronunciation clear and smooth.
Grammar, still strong.
a little lower, 4.5. A few issues with word forms like to harnessing instead of to harness. But again, message totally clear. Perfect comprehension, use relatable examples like WhatsApp study groups. Her style was described as friendly and expressive, perfectly matching those sanguine traits.
It seems like that expressiveness really helps bridge any small grammatical gaps.
It really seems to. And finally, P11. She talked about using humor and language play in the classroom.
Ooh, fun topic.
Yeah, and she got a 5 for fluency too. Very relaxed and fluent. Pronunciation was very smooth and pleasant. Used intonation well, especially for humor.
That's a sophisticated skill, grammar.
Also 4.5. A few awkward phrases like maybe print the humor instead of present the humor, but meaning was still clear. Strong comprehension made her talk interactive and fun. Again, that relaxed, fun, interactive style. Textbook Sanguine.
Wow. So across the board, all 4 Sanguine students identified were rated as excellent speakers, despite maybe some minor non-critical grammar slips here and there.
Exactly. The consistent, excellent performance strongly suggests that those traits, the confidence, the talkativeness, the verbal energy, they really do positively contribute to strong speaking performance. It's not just what they know, it's how they communicate it.
That's interesting. You mentioned P21 had the highest score on the Sanguine questionnaire itself, but they all performed equally well in speaking.
Right, which might suggest that maybe the intensity of the sanguine traits influences the speaking style.
Okay.
How bold or spontaneous someone is, perhaps more than the final objective score, at least at this high level.
But the main takeaway is clear.
Crystal clear. If you connect the dots, students who are naturally expressive, confident, energetic, they tend to excel in speaking tasks. It really backs up previous research suggesting sanguine traits are a great asset for skills like speaking, encouraging participation, and expression.
So let's wrap this up. What does this all mean for you, listening right now? This deep dive really shows a powerful link between the Sanguine personality and English speaking skills.
Yeah, students with those natural sanguine traits, confidence, sociability, expressiveness, they consistently showed strong fluency, clear pronunciation, good enough grammar, and solid comprehension, especially in these academic talks.
It really highlights how our built-in temperament can actually be a huge asset when learning to communicate well in a new language.
Which leads to a really interesting final thought, doesn't it? If understanding a student's basic temperament helps teachers maybe create better, more personalized language strategies.
Then how might recognizing your own innate personality traits, whether you're sanguine or something else entirely, how might that empower you to unlock your own potential, maybe not just in language, but in any kind of learning or communication?
Could understanding yourself, your natural style, actually be the ultimate shortcut? A way to become not just informed, but really impactful in whatever you set out to do.
Definitely something to think about. A fascinating connection between who we are and how we speak.